Hello juniors, so I welcome you all again in the continued series of upper limb and thorax, and today we are going to cover an important topic which is root of lungs. So in today's module we will be covering its introduction, its contents, arrangement of structures and root, and relations of the root. So without wasting further time, let's move ahead. Starting with the introduction. The root of the lung is a group of structure that emerges at the hilum of each lung. So the group of structures which are either going in or coming out at the hilum of each lung are said to be as root of lungs. So what is hilum? Hilum is a triangular depression on the mediastinal surface of each lung. The triangular depression. This is the dissected out lung. But in the body, when the lung is present in the close proximity with other various structures as well. So those structures form the various depressions, various impressions over the mediastinal surface of lung. For example, I have showed you the cardiac impression, which is lying. This is the anterior side, this is the posterior side. The cardiac impression is formed at the anterior inferior side on the mediastinal surface of the lung. Similarly, we have groove of esophagus, and inferiorly I have diaphragm, and in the middle portion I have the hilum depression, which is formed by the root of lung. So root of lung formed by structures which either enters or come out of lung at the hilum. I think you are able to understand this. Root of lung lies opposite to bodies of 5th, 6th and 7th thoracic vertebrae. So this is our 5th, 6th and 7th thoracic vertebrae, and this one is our root of lung. This shows the hilum, which is the hollow depression, which is lying in front of 5th, 6th and 7th vertebrae. For recap, I am drawing the vertebrae. So this is the vertebrae. This is the body of vertebrae. This is transverse process. This is spinous process. So in front of 5th, 6th and 7th thoracic vertebrae lies our hilum and root of lung. Done with the introduction, let's move ahead to the contents of root of lung. So I have right here, I have right lung and left lung. As you can appreciate this is the a bit triangular depression, which is hilum. This is for the right lung and this is for the left lung. So this is the picture taken from Vishram Singh, as this diagram depicts all the contents in the root of lung, or we can say hilum. So I have listed out all the structures. Firstly, I have principal bronchus on the left side. This is our principal bronchus. This is the left side, and this is our principal bronchus, which I have just encircled. This is our principal bronchus. Showing you once again. This is our principal bronchus on the left side. On the right side, I have epiarterial and hyperarterial bronchi on right side. There are two bronchi, which one is epiarterial and second one is hyperarterial bronchi. As the name suggests, epiarterial means it is above the artery and hyperarterial means it is below the artery. Second one, we have one pulmonary artery on both sides. This is for you. This is one pulmonary artery on both sides. As you can appreciate, this pulmonary, right pulmonary artery and left pulmonary artery. Generally the color coding for the artery are red and for veins is blue, but here the artery is given with the color blue because pulmonary arteries carries deoxygenated blood. So next I have two pulmonary veins, superior and inferior in both lungs. I have two pulmonary veins, one is superior, one is inferior in both the lungs, and since these veins carry oxygenated blood, therefore they are coded with red color. Next I have bronchial arteries, one in right and two in left. This is our bronchial artery, red colored bronchial artery, one in right and two in left. Next I have bronchial veins which are present both sides. This is the bronchial vein, green colored bronchial vein present over both sides. Next I have anterior and posterior pulmonary plexus of nerves. So this is our anterior side, this is posterior side. This is anterior and posterior plexus of nerves. Similarly, on the left lung, I have the anterior and posterior pulmonary plexus of nerves. Zooming out once for you. Next we have a pair of lymphatics in both lungs. This is our lymphatic vessels. And next we have pair of lymph nodes present on both the lungs, and lastly we have our areolar tissue. This is the areolar tissue. Hope you can understand this and can appreciate that I am simply viewing the diagram and listing the contents of the root of lung. So in the next slide we will going to cover the contents on the basis of by differentiating the. So first I have written down the common contents, which are as pulmonary artery on both sides, two pulmonary vein which are superior and inferior, bronchial vein on both sides, anterior and posterior nerve plexus on both sides, lymphatics of lungs both sides, pulmonary lymph node both sides, and areolar tissue over both sides. And what is different are epiarterial bronchi and hypoarterial bronchi. As you can appreciate, I have made a pulmonary artery in between them so that it will help you to memorize this. And on the left side I have principal bronchus. Again on the right side I have bronchial artery, which is quantity 1 in number, and bronchial artery on left side, which are 2 in number. So done with the contents of roots of lung. I have a short mnemonic which will help you to memorize the contents, and it starts from Bava Vanilla. Here B stands for principal bronchus, and the number written down, which are 2 and 1. Here 2 stands for the number of bronchus in the right lung, and 1 stands for number of bronchus in the left lung. So as I have told you, epiarterial bronchi and hypoarterial bronchi in the right lung, which are 2 in number, and principal bronchus, which is 1. Secondly, I have one pulmonary artery in both the lungs. V stands for pulmonary vein, which are 2 in number in both the lungs. One is superior and one is inferior. And A stands for bronchial arteries, which is again 1 in right lung and 2 in left lung. Now vanilla stands for V stands for bronchial veins, which are equally in both the lungs. N stands for nerve plexus in both the lung. L stands for lymphatic vessel. Again L stands for lymph node, and A stands for areolar tissue. So the contents can be remembered by this way easily. Nextly, I have arrangement of structures in the root. This is the same diagram. So arrangement in the right side from posterior to anterior side. This is our posterior side. This is our anterior side. So posteriorly I have epiarterial bronchus. This is our epiarterial bronchus, hypoarterial bronchus with bronchial veins. This is our bronchial arteries and bronchial veins, and posterior pulmonary plexus. This is our posterior pulmonary nerve plexus along with posterior wall. This is the posterior wall. Secondly, I have pulmonary artery in the mid-plane between the two bronchi. This is the pulmonary artery in the mid-plane between the two bronchi. Superior and inferior pulmonary veins in anterior part. This is the superior and inferior pulmonary vein in anterior part. And lastly, I have anterior pulmonary plexus, lymph node and lymph vessels in the anterior and inferior part. So lastly, I have the anterior pulmonary plexus, the lymph node, the lymph vessels in the anterior most part. So done with the structures, arrangement of structures on right side. Now left side from posterior to anterior side. Single bronchus, as I have told you, this is the single bronchus with bronchial vessel. This is two bronchial arteries, one bronchial vein, and posterior pulmonary plexus. This is the given in yellow colored is our posterior pulmonary plexus, and along with its posterior wall. This is the posterior wall. Secondly, I have pulmonary artery in the middle area. This is the pulmonary artery in the mid area placed above the bronchus. This is above the bronchus. Thirdly, I have superior and inferior pulmonary veins, superior and inferior pulmonary veins in the anterior part, and last, anterior pulmonary plexus, lymph node, lymph vessels, same as I've shown you on the right side. This is our anterior pulmonary plexus, lymph nodes and lymph vessels, which forms the anterior most part of root of lung. So done with the introduction, contents, arrangement of root. Lastly, we will be going to cover relations of the root. So now covering the relations of the root. So the relations of the root can be well understood with the help of these diagrams. So anterior to the root, firstly we'll be covering the relations which are common to both the lungs. So firstly I have phrenic nerve. This is the long phrenic nerve which is anterior. This you can appreciate, this is the root of the lung. And anterior to it, I have phrenic nerve, pericardiophrenic vessel. The pericardiophrenic vessel is the arteries and veins which are going along with the phrenic nerve, which are also anterior to the root of the lung. So phrenic nerve, pericardiophrenic vessels, and anterior pulmonary plexus. Anterior pulmonary plexus is not shown in this diagram. So it is the nerve plexus which is also going in front of the root of the lung. Which are anterior to the root of the lung but are specific on the right side, on the right sided lung. So I have superior vena cava, just erasing this all for you. I have superior vena cava and part of right atrium. So this is our superior vena cava, and when the lung is present in the thoracic cavity, here you can see the impression of right atrium, and when the lung is present in the thoracic cavity, the right atrium sits anterior to this root of the lung. Posterior relations, I have firstly covering again common, which are common to both the lungs, that is vagus nerve and post pulmonary plexus, posterior pulmonary plexus. This is the, as you can appreciate, this is our vagus nerve. This is the vagus nerve which goes posterior to the root of the lung, and posterior pulmonary plexus. This is as again not shown, this is the posterior pulmonary plexus which goes posterior to the root of the lung. So again, the specific relation on the left side of lung, left-sided lung, is descending thoracic aorta. Rubbing all this for you, I have again this descending thoracic aorta, which is specifically present posterior to the left-sided lung, posteriorly to the root of left-sided lung. So done with the posterior relations. Now the superior relation. On right-sided lung, I have terminal part of azygous vein. So this you can visualize from this diagram, which is superior to the root of lung, is the terminal part of azygous. This is our azygous vein, which is present just above the root of lung, hilum. Above the hilum is the terminal part of azygous vein. And in the left lung, I have arch of aorta. Again, you can appreciate the arch of aorta. This is the arch of aorta. Nextly, I have inferior, which is present on the both sides, that is pulmonary ligament. This is the pulmonary ligament, which I am highlighting with my pen, which is present on the both sides, on both lungs. This is the pulmonary ligament. So done with all four of the topics: introduction, contents, arrangement of structures and root, and relations of the root. If you found this video helpful, do like it and do share with your batchmates, and I'll shortly post the notes of this video. Hope you found this video helpful. Thank you.